Managing PCOS can feel like a complete guessing game. What foods spike blood sugar? What's helping? What's not helping? Sometimes you feel like you're just doing random things because you heard online you're supposed to be doing it and you don't really notice any results. I get it. And that's why I recently started using a continuous glucose monitor because I assume that if insulin resistance drives more than 80% of PCOS cases, then managing your blood sugar should make a significant difference. So I wanted some data to support that, and I'm here to share my results. So let's dig into it. Okay. When I started tracking my blood sugar a couple days ago, what I was expecting to see is high highs and low lows. And the reason for that is that's just the definition of what insulin resistance is. So, whenever you're eating, whether that's protein, fats, or carbs, it's just more prevalent with carbs, your blood sugar should rise. That's even the most healthy of us. That's just how that works. So, with insulin resistance, however, when you eat something, especially something with simple carbs, your blood sugar will start to rise. And then your body is going to send a signal saying, hey, we need some insulin. And that insulin is what drives that sugar back down. That's what keeps you stable. And in the case of somebody with PCOS insulin resistance, it's not that you don't produce insulin. You don't have that problem. What you do have a problem with is that your cells are not effectively reading that insulin. So you have these little receptor sites on the cell that is where the insulin is expected to bind to. And there's some type of miscommunication in that concept. So your body produces the insulin, the cells ask for the insulin, and then there's this disconnect, this miss where insulin's being produced but not utilized. So the blood sugar continues to rise because insulin's not being used to bring the blood sugar down. And as a result, the body continues to ask for more insulin. It's asking so it doesn't get so high. And so the body continues to produce insulin. And you end up in this very vicious cycle. And eventually, what ends up happening is that the body has so much insulin, like way too much insulin, that eventually the cells do start to recognize the insulin and it drives you back down. It causes you to crash. So, again, that's why I was expecting really high highs and really low lows. Now, if you don't already know, I'm on a GLP-1 and I have been for about the last 7 months. So I did expect that even with a GLP-1 that I would see those high highs and low lows, maybe just not as high and not as low. And what actually happened surprised me. So the reality is my blood sugar is ridiculously stable, like boringly stable. So when I'm looking at this chart, it's literally just steady, and it has been for days. And so when you're talking about medical stuff, being boring is excellent. You definitely want to be boring. But I just didn't expect that to happen. So what does it mean? In my opinion, this is proof that I'm not just eating healthy, I'm actually eating in a way that truly supports insulin resistance. So the thing with a GLP-1 is they're not some kind of magic blood sugar shield. So no matter who you are, no matter how healthy you are, if you eat a bunch of simple carbs, like you go down a bunch of sugar, you will have a blood sugar spike. That's just normal. That's going to happen. And a GLP-1 is not going to prevent that blood sugar spike, but it will help your body be more efficient in how it's going to regulate that spike and bring you back to a more stable position. So when I see that my numbers are actually really stable and really consistent, that to me is proof that I am eating in such a way and I am managing a lifestyle that is truly supporting PCOS. And that's super exciting to me. I don't know about you, but I have heard all the diet advice for PCOS. Truly, like I've heard everything that there is out there. And that's because there is so much noise on the internet about what the perfect PCOS diet is. One person says it's a ketogenic diet. The next person says, oh no, it's not a ketogenic diet, it's a low carb diet. And then the next person says, but if you go low carb, you're going to, remove your insulin resistant receptors and like you're not going to train your cells to be more responsive. And it goes on and on and everybody contradicts themselves. So you're left with, what in the hell is the answer? And I get it because I've been there. So there's something that's particularly cathartic about doing this and having actual real data that can't be argued with, that supports that, hey, what I'm doing is actually supporting my PCOS. And I am surprised to see that my blood sugars are so regulated, probably because I've gotten so much feedback over the years that everything I do is just not quite good enough, or you should just eat a little less and exercise a little bit more, or cut out sugar, or cut out this. I finally got to a point where I've tried so many different things and I have been so compliant to my diets. When I didn't have the results, I finally just said, I'm fed up. And here's the thing, if diet alone was going to solve this problem, it would have worked by now because I have tried everything. What I can tell you is, based on this journey, I don't believe that finding a ketogenic diet or a low carb diet or a carnivore diet or whatever diet, I don't think the goal in any of that should ever be about being compliant to a diet. The idea behind it is that you are looking for something that truly supports you. Of course, some people have had wild success with one thing, and that's amazing. And other people find it way on the other side of the spectrum, and that's amazing for them. But if you're like me and you've tried absolutely everything and you just don't know anymore what you're supposed to try, my advice to you as a non-medical professional, someone who's not a dietitian, but just someone who's gone through the experience themselves and has PCOS, eat a balanced diet. Start there and get data like a glucose monitor that proves that you are in fact doing something that is supporting you. And when you have that, you have so much more power. You can cut through all of that noise and you can find what actually works for you. Because the point of all of this is to be healthy, not to be really good diet. So I think the natural next question in all of this is it my diet or is it the GLP-1? And my guess is it's probably honestly both. But I want to test that theory. And I can't wait to share the results with you. So if you're curious what happens when you do try to force a spiked blood sugar, well, stay tuned. I'd be happy to tell you what happens.